Alright, today we're going to talk about the Grasslin FM1 timer, which is made by Aerobic. The Grasslin timer is a pretty straightforward timer. It's used in a ton of different applications around the industry. Ours specifically, it's used for the septic system, and typically it's used in spray systems. So we'll go around the timer and we'll talk about a couple of the features that are important to know and understand so that you can set it and troubleshoot it down the road if you need to. First, we'll start with the minute hand. So Intermatic is very specific, and it says only rotate the clock, not by the clock face, but by the minute hand. So as you turn it, it's going to rotate the whole dial. Past that, we have the arrow. So this is the clock arrow, and you can see there's AM and there's a PM side, and wherever that arrow points, well, that tells you if you're morning or nighttime. So right now it'd be set to approximately 6 a.m. and if this tripper were out, it would turn on, or for that duration. Inside of this clock face is the timer switch. So it's a 3-position switch. The lowest setting is off, so it's just going to turn the timer off completely. It's still going to keep time, but it's not going to do anything. The center position is called automatic. Automatic meaning it's on timed control, and however you set it, that's when it's going to go off. The uppermost position is override or on, and whenever you set it to that, it's irregardless of how you set the trippers in or out, it's going to come on. So that's a feature to test if you need to. Most application is just going to be set to the center position there. So as I mentioned, these are the trippers. Each tripper is worth 15 minutes. So in, it's off, and when they're set to out, they're on. So there's 3 trippers out. That's a 45-minute interval. When that arrow's inside of it, that's when it's going to allow electricity to pass through and turn on your pump or whatever the application is. So what we'll do to use our test box, we'll go ahead and we'll set it to automatic for now. We'll go ahead and pull out a handful of trippers just above the arrow here, so that we can move it into it. Just like all the other components, we're going to flip it over. We're going to inspect our pins. We're going to make sure there's no corrosion, debris, damage, or even missing pins. And we're going to sort that out first. If we can clean them, great. If we can gently bend them back into position, that's great too. But if they're beyond anything like that, it's just not a good idea to test it because there's a high chance it will mess up our test box. Test box is of similar design. It has a standard face, just like a panel would, where you plug in. Instead of using flag connectors, it's a traditional base. We also have our control switch on the side, which passes power into it. You'll also notice that there's 2 aligning tabs that are going to use these mounting tabs on the timer. So make sure those are lined up. Make sure you come straight down with it, and be careful when you're installing it. You'll hear a click. You don't want to push down on the clock face. You want to push on the sides, just like that. So we've set our trippers out. We're ready to start testing. So we're going to turn it on. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to lean in close, and we're going to make sure that we can audibly hear the clock. It's faint, but it's there. So if you can't hear the clock, you can just stop testing right now because it's not going to work. So again, we're in automatic. Our trippers are out there, and there's our arrow. So if we slowly start rotating our minute hand, you can see it's starting to rotate along with it. Let me move this a little bit. So it's going to catch a little bit. Now that we're at the start, it's going to feel like a bind. And it's going to go into it. So now this LED light has turned on. See if you can see that. Faintly, yeah. It's on, and that's saying the load's on. So it's passing electricity, the contact is closed inside. Now our pump is on, or whatever the application is. So while we're in this position, we know it's working. So we're going to go ahead and test this timer switch and see if it's working. So while it's on, we're going to go ahead and move this to the off position, and that LED is going to turn off. So you'll notice that even though these trippers are out and it's in a time sequence, so it should be on, we've overridden it to off, and now, well, we're just not getting any power out of it. So we can move that back to the center position. Notice the light came back on. So now we're going to go ahead and rotate the minute hand again out of the cycle. You're going to feel a little bind coming out of it. That's natural. So we're out of it, and the LED light turned off. So now we know it's during an off cycle. So this is a great time to test the override feature of the timer switch. So same as before, we're just going to move that up. And so we're in the off cycle, but now our load is on. We've closed the contacts, we've overridden it, and now we can make the system spray. A good way to adjust the minute hand or this switch is with a small screwdriver or even a ballpoint pen. Those are handy too. So this is about as far as we're going to go with testing. You'll have some complaints where customers say it binds or hangs up, and that's a real concern too. As far as testing goes, the only way we can really test for that is to set just a random amount of the trippers out, set the time to the correct time, turn power on, and then leave it, preferably for about 24 hours. So that's going to allow the timer to click in and click out of just a multitude of pump cycles, and it's going to make sure that it doesn't hang up. So if you come back in 24 hours and the time is right, then it's a good timer. If you come back and it's stuck and it stopped an hour later, well, then it's a bad timer. So once we're done, we're going to go ahead and turn the control switch off irregardless. When you're pulling it off the test base, again, you're not pulling by the clock face. You're going to carefully pull by the base. And it's a tight, snug fit, so just be careful doing it. And if you have any questions, reach out to your manager and they'll get you sorted out. Thank you. Have a good day.